And welcome to part 3 of scheduling with the 2 kilo 1 day and 2 kilo 1 night scheduling template. We are at the point now where I have just finished giving kilo 1 day shifts to all of these different employees. And every time that I gave a shift, let's just remove one here for a minute to show you what's happening. So this person here, the kilo 1 day allotments is 7 right now. They're only at 44%, roughly 23% of their total allotment. While I'm scheduling these kilo 1 days to everybody, I'm watching this percentage column here to see how they fare with each other, how they compare. One of the goals I have is to try and make sure that I spread my kilo 1 days as evenly as possible given their availability across the month for the purpose of them having a relatively even paycheck. When I give this last kilo 1 here, it's jumped up to 8. They've gotten 51 or 50% of their entitlement. Now if I look at the day, these are the day entitlements in this column here. This person is entitled to 16 day shifts and 14 night shifts. One thing I didn't mention in the last video, if you add these two numbers together, they come to 30, not 31. And the reason for this oddity is that the program rounds up or rounds down numbers depending on how close they are to 0.5. So just bear in mind that it's not a mistake in the program to see that these numbers don't add up. The most accurate number you're going to be looking at is this one here. So in the very end, when this far column at the right here, when this number in the very far right column meets this number, so if we get 31 shifts here that have been allotted in total, and out of the 31 they're entitled to, regardless of what anything else says in here, they've received their full entitlement. And this will actually turn green, and we'll see this afterwards. Once we've given away all the shifts that they can get, if they've met their entitlement, it'll turn green. If it goes over their entitlement, it'll turn red. However, right now we're still at the kilo 1 day assignment stage. That's all we're giving away is kilo 1 day shifts. Now, how you assign shifts in your stations may be different. I'm going to show you assigning kilo 1 days first, then kilo 1 nights, and then kilo 2 days and kilo 2 nights, but that may vary depending on how valuable those shifts are and how your employees are used to you scheduling. So as I finish doing all these kilo 1 days here, you can see that the numbers from the very top down, the percentages, the most available person here in the very top has received just about the highest percentage, with a couple minor exceptions here. Sometimes if I take if I take one shift away from this person, it drops it radically down to 40% or 40-something percent. I'm trying to roughly make sure that the most available people get the most shifts and the least get the less. In this case, this person got 50% because they were only entitled to 2 shifts and I had to give them at least 1, or I didn't have to, I suppose, but in this case I did. So this is a very good way of maintaining the transparency in the scheduling process to show that you are following a system that's consistent and fair and equitable, and in this case, my interpretation of the WAG. Something else to note that I didn't mention before is this section down here at the very bottom with all these pretty colored numbers. So what this is all about is these are the total availabilities. So on January the 1st, there were 8 people available during the day, so 8 daily X's here, and 5 people available at night. And the next day there was 6 during the day and 7 at night. The next day 12 and 8 and so forth. Now the greater the number, the more availability is submitted on each day, the closer that color becomes to green. The less, the closer it becomes to red. So what this tells me at a glance is the numbers that are very close to red or really bright red are the lowest amounts of availability. The numbers that are green are the greatest amounts of availability. You can see here it's a pale green and it gets down to yellow and eventually it gets to red. Green is good, red is not so good. Another way to look at the availabilities across the month is to take a look at this section down here, this tab called Stats Daily Availabilities. So if I click on that, that shows us a little chart right here, and I can see at a glance where my day shifts are, 8 here during the day, 5 at night, for every single day of the month. These lines here are trend lines that give you an idea. Well, the availability during the day is increasing just slightly towards the end of the month, same with the night. Sometimes what I like to do is I'll print this off for people's perusal when The unit chief or scheduler is fighting with a crew to say, we need more people or we don't need more people. We can print this out to say how little availability we had and how difficult it was to schedule. A lot of these sheets have this create PDF button here. If you click on that, it should create a PDF document for you. And as I mentioned in prior presentation, if you go click Save As PDF, you can save that onto your computer wherever you want to actually put that. I'm not going to do that right now. Or of course you can print it by clicking here and going through the print dialog box, or clicking on that pretty icon right here and doing the same thing, printing it to your printer. But if you save it to your file explorer into your computer, you can later email these if you so desire to email them out as well. So anywhere you see one of these creative PDF buttons, it'll allow you to do that. If for some reason this button does not work, another way to do it is to go File, Save As, and right here where it says Excel Macro Enabled Workbook, click on the down arrow, go down to PDF. It'll label this PDF, it'll save just that sheet as a PDF document, and you'll be able to do the same thing, but I'm not going to do that in this case here. So I'm going back to the Availabilities tab. You can see that Trishan Loper here is our fictitious community paramedic, and I have assigned him his regular CP shifts that he has. He does very well. He has 3 shifts per week, which I believe are Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, or something to that effect. Possibly it's close to that. If we take a look at the printable schedule here, we can see under the CP row, Trishan, this is where his shifts are. Now, as I mentioned before, this doesn't change the entitlement or the allotment of regular shifts. The CP component is completely separate from the scheduling component. This is just here as a courtesy, so for Trishan's purposes or for other people who may be looking to call Trishan, let's say there's an empty shift right here, they want to call him, oh, well, he's working today, he can't. So it's just a nice way to keep the CP schedule and the regular on-call schedule all together on one sheet of paper. Okay, and on the next video, we will be carrying on with the scheduling.